Hello, good evening, and welcome to the Fatback 4 podcast for your Sunday night. I'm Gav, and with me, as always, is Seany, Keith, and Grizz. Manchester City won, Liverpool won from the Etihad Stadium earlier on today in the Premier League. We're all real optimistic going into this one, and as we find out going out throughout the show, I think a lot of people are happy with it, and it's grand, it's fine. Where we stand in the table after 8 games and an international break coming up, considering the fixtures we've had, we're quite comfortable with. We're quite comfortable with. Seany's pissed off already. He's had enough of us. But I'm sure he'll be back in a second. But lads, I'm going to start off with the lineups as we always do, and there was a lot of debate, even on the Friday forecast. Me and Grizz were discussing what way we might go. In fairness to Grizz, he turned around and he said, "Gav, if it was me, I would go with Wijnaldum, Hendo, and I'd put them 4 up top," and that's what he done. And Grizz, the discussion carried on into a WhatsApp group with us 3 and Seany, and we're kind of debating, if he does do that, what way do City go? What way do they react? Are they waiting for this 4-2-3-1, or did he expect 4-3-3? You called it balls out. It was balls out, wasn't it?
Yeah, the sad part is the viewers and listeners, if they had access to our WhatsApp chat, I mean, that was a proper football chat. Do you know, honestly, we actually analyzed the game before it happened, and we said this is what's going to happen, and that's exactly what happened. We said during the week, we done a couple of shows, didn't we, Gav, during the week, and where we discussed, and we said, look, we got to utilize the attacking impetus we've seemed to have created in the last week or two, and we have to carry on going that forward. We also touched upon sort of the surprise element that it would bring to the game and to Pep's approach. And for that first, what would you say, lads? First 30 minutes, I thought they were trapped like you've never seen Man City trapped before. I don't know what the stats were in terms of possession and completed passes, but that must be one of the all-time lowest for Man City. And that's all credit to the formation, Jurgen, Klopp, and his players. We should have been more than a goal clear. That's my only sad thing about the game and the end result. The football we played, the chances that we created to create a chance, if you know what I mean. Our final pass was so piss. Conditions didn't help. Of course, they're the same for both teams. And that's maybe why the final pass on both teams was poor. But the build-up play, the control, the poise, the way Bobby and Salah were cutting off passing lanes, we weren't pressing their centre-backs like we normally do in most other games. We were letting their centre-backs have the ball. I thought the tactics, the formation, the selection worked a treat, in my opinion, for that game.
Well, I asked for what he thought of the lineup, and he's given me a full rundown of the game. That's it, ladies and gentlemen. That's it. Early one tonight, thank God. Seany, you're with us. You're back with us there. I thought you just legged it. I thought in your own mind you thought, I know ball more than these lads. I'm not spending my Sunday night with them, and legged it. But you've come back, Seany. Without giving us a full rundown of the game like Grizz has, I was just telling people there while you were off screen that we were having a chat in our WhatsApp group last night about what way he would go, if he goes the way Grizz predicted, and it turns out, what way would City go? And I felt that he's planning for 4-2-3-1 here. He can go to 4-3-3 if he needs it, because both sides there today could have went 4-3-3 off the starting lineups if they wanted to. But it was very brave of Klopp, I thought, Seany. Some people would think, fuck, don't be doing this away at City, but it was very brave of him to do it, Seany, wasn't it?
Yeah, 100%. And a reason why I didn't think he'd do it was because I actually don't think 4-2-3-1 has been great for us this season. I don't think it's worked too well, to be honest with you. I think it's slowed us down a little bit. Like, we normally getting from back to front in 2 or 3 passes. With 4-2-3-1, it was taking a little bit longer. But I was surprised today it was more of a 4-4-2 than a 4-2-3-1. It was more of the 2 boys on the wings and Bobby and Salah up top. And it was bold from Klopp. And in the end, it kind of backfired slightly, because I think the goal comes from air shape in midfield, that man being loose in midfield. Seany is used to having one of the lads from the front covering. Mane goes to press, goes a bit wrong, and in a game of this magnitude, it literally is fine margins. But in the end, I was surprised by the lineup. I think a lot of the talk during the week was, will he play Jota or will he play Firmino? And in the end, he went for both of them. So it was bold from Klopp.
Really, I thought it was because, we haven't got the best record there. Now, you can write off last season, we genuinely, the lads were on the lash and turned up at City and got walloped 4, I think, was 4, wasn't it? And, people go, they were beaten there last season, that doesn't count. But if you look at the seasons previous, we were beaten the previous season. I think we got a draw the season before that. You have to go back to Klopp's 4th season when I think our last win there in the league. I know there's a Champions League quarter-final thrown in there. But all things considered, no matter what the form is of Jota or Firmino, not so much the personnel, but you're saying there you're going 2 up top against them. You're going with a midfield 4 if that's the way you've seen it. And Klopp is going, I don't give a shit. If I want to play these players, I'm playing them. That's how confident he is in his squad, and I think it's even ramped up a bit more because of the players we have missing. If you had Fabinho, Van Dijk, Thiago, and you said, well, we're going to go in like this, you go, fair enough, look at all the players you have. When you have them out and you still go and do that, I think he smelled blood a little bit, and I think he was hoping to absolutely bash the panic button for City early on. Keith, the lineup, as the lads have said, Grizz wasn't surprised. Well, I think Grizz was a bit surprised, but he had thought that's the way Grizz would go with it. That's what he would do. And then when it came out, Grizz was like, well, he has done it. And he was delighted. Shawnee was a bit shocked by it. I was a little bit shocked by it. But were you shocked by it? And the second question is, how good were we in the first 25?
I wasn't overly shocked by it. When the head coach of El Nino FC tells you this is how it should be done, and this is how it's done, I think the surprise.
We know both. We know.
Oh, sorry, boy, sorry to cut Keith off. The amount of evidence we have of El Nino FC at our disposal over the last 24 to 48 hours is phenomenal, and we may release it at some stage, because we have league tables, we have notes, we have cup finals, we have the lot, and it's an
Everyone thought I made it up again.
Well, you've either made it up or you've typed it out really fucking quickly. And I'm going to go with the fact that you didn't make it up, if that's okay, because I love the romantic story of El Nino FC. But sorry for interrupting you, Keith.
Donald Trump assumed the American voters with less evidence than what we have that Grizz championed El Nino today.
Correct.
Barking and District FA Cup back in 1928.
What was it? The Heathrow Airport League,
London
Sunday
and
League.
City Airport League, and Barking District League. You can Google it. You can check them. The records are there. Yeah. There's no spoof, man.
No need for a freedom of information request or anything like that. It's all there in black and white. But sorry, Keith, the first 25.
No, but anyway, I digress. First 25, I thought we were amazing, and the formation, it was 4-2-4 in the first 20 minutes. It wasn't even it fell into a 4-4-2, and I suppose out of possession maybe a little bit, but we were just looking to push them, and I think it was a case of smelling blood. I said on the show, the pre-match show as well, that the way to get at City probably is not to go into a chess game with them, because they're a good team, and I think we can take for granted just how good Man City are, because we're pretty good as well. But I thought we were going to go at them and go for the jugular straight away, which we did, and we were just on top of them. They looked a mess, Man City. Now, I know the weather was pretty bad, and that just made the tempo so quick. The ball was zipping around, it was flying all over the place. But we were going so gung-ho in that first 25, 30 minutes. We probably couldn't sustain it, which turned out to be the case, but it looked like if we had been able to keep it going for a bit longer, we could have really done some serious damage to them, but they get back into the game. I thought the way Liverpool lined up, I think Firmino has a chance in the very first minute, isn't he? He's put through, and it doesn't happen for him. But the gaps that were opened up, even at that stage, it looked like it could have been a good day for us. But as it happened, they got into it. I thought, their defence were very good, bar one, being Kyle Walker. But the rest of them, I thought they were very good, Man City at the back. It was just one of them that I said on the pre-match show as well, would you go with the four of them playing against a middling team, or not even a middling team? I mean, if you look at Spurs, who are a good team, you probably wouldn't have got the same joy because Mourinho's a bit of a pig. But City are open, and they've sussed us out a bit. When we're playing the usual three lads up front, I think City might have our number a little bit on that. So he was right to throw something different in. And it didn't really work for Bobby, let's be honest. It didn't work for Bobby. I thought he linked up and he, as you said, he cut off the passing lanes where he could. A lot of the donkey work, he's exceptional at. But people don't care about that anymore because all anyone cares about now with Firmino is he's not scoring. And he doesn't look like scoring, to be honest.
Yeah. Somebody says there, Red Roy says, if Bobby was at his peak, and somebody else said this earlier as well, I just couldn't find the comment there, a confident Bobby lobs the keeper early on, and it's a different game. Seany, I want to come to you, and I want to ask you something. Obviously, that's what we're here for, but the first 25, I thought Liverpool were really good. As Grizz said, he had nearly not penned in, but they were really onto them. Do you think it was a calculated risk taken by Klopp? Because when you look at the sizes, like City have players missing in their squad. We have players missing in our squad. We've had games. I think City are a little bit deeper squad-wise than us. And was it a calculated risk for you, Seany, where they just went, let's just go out and blast this for 30 and see where it gets us? Because I think it started to come into my mind as the more the game went on and the fitness levels and the tempo seemed to drop and more from Liverpool than City. That's why I'm thinking that. Was it just one of those where, old style like Rodgers done in 13, 14, just go out and blitz this for 30 and just see where it gets us?
You could say that, but I don't think it's a risk because I'd imagine Klopp watches a lot more tape on opposition than us. City spent big on your man Diaz, and Laporte is very highly rated. I thought City looked fucking very shaky at the back today. True, even for 90 minutes, there was no assurance between the two boys at the back. It was lump. The amount of times it was just challenging, going straight through the back of our strikers. There was no real cohesion there with those two. So I'd imagine Klopp had a look at that and said, maybe even with the two, I can get at them. Now, it was sort of an early blitz first 30, but City got footing in the game then and started to create. But as we'll get on to later, I just think the intensity from football coming back to now is really, really starting to catch up at the top sides. Players are dropping like flies, and I think we look extremely leggy for the majority of the second half and even towards the end of the first half. We really dropped off. After we never really took impetus after the penalty and kicked on. And disappointing in that sense. It was a frustrating game. There was a lot of poor individual performances today, I thought. Now, look, I'm going to just caveat all of this by saying, in the main, I think it was a great point away to Man City. Yes. I think it was a very good point away to Man City in the context of the league and how everything's gone. You take that all day. You know what I mean? You can lose your battles and win the war, but if you can just stick it out and take points when it matters, that was a big thing. There was a load of poor individual performances for Liverpool today, and I see a lot of people are giving out about Bobby. Yeah, I thought Mane was shocking as well. I didn't think Jota was great either.
Salah was brutal as well.
I thought Salah was brutal. And people are saying Matip was brilliant. I thought Matip was shy today. I thought he was shy on the ball. I think needing to be on the ball a lot, he was terrible in possession. But look, it can be forgiven because it's his first game back. But I thought he was really poor in possession and he slowed us down an awful lot.
Yeah, listen, it's Klopp has come out after the game and said that the system that he's played today, and people will say 4-2-3-1, some are saying 4-2-4, and it was probably a hybrid of both, when we had it, when we didn't have it in certain areas of the pitch. And I'm not going to go into mad fucking stats about where people touched it and all that sort of messing. But he said he only had 2 days to work on the system with this lineup. And he was very proud of the way he played, the way he adapted, and the way they fulfilled what he asked. And he said, it's a good point, and we move on. Grizz, I want to get into overall feelings later on, but as the game progresses, and we'll get to the penalty incidents and bits and pieces now in a minute, but as the game progresses, are you thinking, a point here is good? Well, all things, you know, as it developed, because as it developed, I thought, I'm taking a point out of this. I'm taking a point out of this from probably 35 minutes on, I'm being honest, Chris.
Yeah, from the offset.
Genuinely, I am, yeah.
From the offset, I said, for me, the pressure, there's more pressure on City to get the 3 points than us. Just for the fact that they're behind us, right? By 5 points, regardless of their game in hand. Even if they win their game in hand, they're still 2 points behind us. And to have that psychological lead sort of affects the way you play. And I thought that's where we got the shock on them, where I'm pretty certain Pep would have thought, okay, they've got a 5-point lead, and very similar to, do you remember the season we lost the title by a point, and we went there, we had a 7-point lead or something, and we played very pragmatic. We tried to control them. I knew Klopp, you know, we know Klopp's a massive learner. He's learning on the job himself. That's a class of a high level coach. I knew he's not going to play a pragmatic approach, Gav. I just knew it means more for us, for them to get the 3 points, but let's give them the shock element. I would have taken a draw. As I said, I thought it was going to be a draw.
No, you didn't.
Okay. There's evidence. But anyway, but we won't go into the evidence.
Oh, let's.
Yeah. So look.
Are we not going into it now?
No, we can go into it. I said I'll assess the team lineup when I see the lineups.
You gave me a prediction on Friday night.
Yeah, which was 2-1 loss, because I thought we were going to play for, you know. Then I said I'll reassess.
Then you gave me a prediction Saturday. Then you gave me a prediction Sunday morning. Then you gave me a prediction when the team came out.
Jesus Christ!
I'll tell you what.
Conversation.
4 different results, by the way.
But anyway, go on, Sean.
I think
I'll finish later.
If you're looking at it in the whole, like, the onus was on them today. Like that, the late win last week meant that this week we could approach this game differently. I thought
absolutely.
The onus was completely on Man City today, and you need to be honest. I think they went hiding a little bit. I think their character should be under question a little bit more.
Way more than theirs.
Yeah, 100%, Gab. We spoke about this earlier today. I was kind of... People were... I think it's a part of the media and the hyperbole. I think a lot of people were given too much impetus to this game, saying, this is massive in context of the season. I never felt it was. I think it would have been massive for City. It would have been much bigger for City than it was for us, because the onus was on them to make a statement and beat us today. And then all he had to say is, look, when we go and win our game in hand, we'll be over you again. I don't think they went for it. Like, that was very similar to the game where we went there. We went there with, remember that not last season, the season before, that mad title race. We went there and the onus was on City to win that game, to catch us up again, because that's what they needed to do. Yeah. And at the rootless City, that game was in the balance for 90.
It was a brilliant game of football.
It was an excellent game of football. It's one of the better games of football. And I thought today was a very good game of football as well, to be honest.
Yeah, every year it is.
They didn't have the gut, it seemed, or the bottle. Even Guardiola, he brings Foden on probably 10 minutes too late. And I'm thinking, this game is just passing both teams by here, and either side are reluctant.
Shawnee, by then, both teams have settled. But what you said yesterday in the chat, because I'm good like that, give credit where it's due, unlike Gav. You talked about Gundogan coming in as a double pivot.
Yeah,
and that's.
I said that as well.
I didn't see yours. You always. That's how you gauge Pep's mindset, because he very rarely goes in with two. But he always goes in with two against us without fail. And I thought if Gundogan plays, he'll be the weakest link. I don't think he was pretty. I don't think he was that good. No. I would have seen the braver. If he was worse. I thought, but going back to Shawnee's point about Foden, if Foden had started, that would have been Pep's version of Klopp's, how he was balls out. Do you know what I mean? Like, he believes in the new Silva, but he didn't pick him. He picked Gundogan and Rodri as an old school just to control things.
I thought he
They
was
didn't
always
have
going
it-
to pick them two. I thought he was always going to pick them two because with them two, you can do a 4-2-3-1 if Liverpool come out like that. You can also go 4-3-3 with both of them. You can just move De Bruyne a little bit on the pitch and make a 4-3-3 out of it. Leave Rodri deep, move Gundogan up a little bit and put De Bruyne beside him and you make 4-3-3. He was trying to be, for me, Guardiola was trying to be, he was pessimistic in what he was doing, but he was with an ability to change, you know. Like even watching him before the game, his head's gone. I don't care what anyone says. His
Yeah,
head's
it doesn't
gone.
look good for him. It
No,
really doesn't.
he looks like he's losing. Do you know what he reminds me of? And I know they're completely two different characters, but he actually reminds me of Mourinho. You know, Mourinho just gets into that state where he's just deciding he's leaving this club and it's just a
It's
matter of
sort of
time.
like it's purgatory, sort of like that's what it seems like.
Yeah,
with Pep Guardiola at the moment. They didn't really like even the last 20. When we were watching. I was watching the game. I was chatting to my brothers. I was saying, we're so sloppy here. If City just go up the gears here, they will get one, and they never did. They never did.
But they didn't. They never overcommitted.
They were scared to.
They never overcommitted because, and this is the reason why the four lads start, because it actually makes City put themselves in a position where do we overcommit here? Because the idea of 4-2-4 was completely to get the two wide lads against those full backs and say, listen, we'll pin you back and we'll stay up the pitch if we have to, especially Salah. He does it all the time. But watching Pep and then watching his team, and I think Liverpool running out of legs the last 30. But like Seany, you said to me after the game, City 2 or 3 years ago stamp on the pedal at 65, 70 and they put you to the sword and they go 2 or 3-1 and you go, they just have more than us in the last 20, 25. Yeah. But today, they still had in the back of their mind, there's four lads up the pitch there. And no matter how good you think Laporte and Diaz or whoever it is, no matter how good you think they are, in the back of their mind, they're saying, lads, if we let these four loose for a second, they will hit us. And Liverpool are very good at sitting back then and going, right, we're playing out the game. I want to go on to the penalty incidents. VAR's a fucking mess. Let's get that out of the way before we go on. Somebody did want me to mention on the show tonight the Bamford offside. Absolutely laughable. Andy Young, that match happened yesterday afternoon, early afternoon, I think. And Andy Young is still trying to explain it on Twitter. That's how good VAR is. But
I'm on Andy Young's side.
Well, yeah, that's only because I'm arguing against them. But
is someone trying to say that was offside?
No, basically, it's ruled offside, Bamford, and
because of a shoulder.
Well, my thing with
the
that
shoulder
one
is getting further down the blade now. But
yeah, my thing is
it's ruled offside according to the rules, guys. The rules.
No, well, you see, the thing is, Grizz, and one line I heard come out today where it was, if you watch it, if you look at it and look at the information you have on the screen, the line is brought up to Bamford's more or less his elbow, and the line is not brought up to the same part of the body of Nathaniel Klein. I think it's Nathaniel Klein in the picture. And the argument is, oh well, we don't see on TV what they see on the screen. Why not?
Well,
I can do anything on this screen and I can show you anything I want to show you. So you're better off agreeing with me, but it's a farce anyway. It's continuing to be a farce, and I can't wait until VAR in the next 6 to 7 years is just done right. So we have.
I've given
right.
you the email.
You're getting on to Liverpool here, are you?
I am. I'm going to go on because I'm going to get to the first penalty incident, which is Mane. Oh, it's 100% a penalty.
And Gomez a penalty as well. They're both penalties.
Well, let's take the first one, right?
Yeah.
Walker
jumping ahead there.
Shawnee jumping ahead of the schedule.
Yes, the agenda again.
There'll be a fine issued by Grizz now after this. Shawnee doesn't give a bollocks. But the first one, it's good by Mane. He puts him the position he puts himself in, the ball in. Kyle Walker's an idiot because Kyle Walker he takes the step to make contact and then pretends to pull away. He doesn't need to be in that position. But he is the person you go after in that City defence, and he came up trumps, didn't he? It's an absolute penalty. Keith, is there any doubt over it? And what a good penalty, by the way.
The Stonewall penalty, it's as Stonewall can be, in fairness. It's I was watching it on Sky Sports, and Roy Keane laid into Kyle Walker, and rightly so, he's an idiot. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
He's just an idiot, and he does stupid things like that. And Michael Richards was trying to, defend him, and even he then starts saying, I can't really defend him, can I? Because he's thrown a stupid leg when he knows, contact is contact. We've had this debate for a long time now. If you take someone down in the box and there's any sort of contact, it's going to be a penalty. They didn't even need to go to VAR for that. That's a stonewaller. That's ridiculous by a stupid player. And correct decision is given, penalty. And your second point, Gav, it's a great penalty. I used to be so nervous of him taking penalty, Salah, and his run. It's all about his run. There's no finesse about Salah penalties, but he just doesn't miss them. So I've decided to learn to just accept that he's an absolutely fantastic penalty taker and just not worry when he steps up.
Did you see the angle they showed when he's running up to take the penalty?
Yeah.
Very few penalty takers running a straight direct line at the ball. I was thinking, how's he going to? Yeah, I was thinking, how's the keeper going to work out which way he's going? But then it also indicates that it's a sign of someone who's going to smash it down the middle. But he's got this variety now where he can place it. Amazing. Yeah. I still don't think, I still think he's going to miss every time he stands up. I'm going to hold my hand.
Well, the thing is, it's not right in the corner, but it's so well struck that it's gone past Ederson before he can even decide where Salah's going. A lot of keepers that you speak to say they don't look at the run up; they're looking at when they plant their foot, and they're going off that, and where they plant their foot and is their body open, and then they're trying to go off that and do it. But with Salah, Salah relies on the ball being struck purely. I think. That's what
his pens are going everywhere. He's down the middle one week, and then he's side letting to the left, and then he's middle of the goal, top. Like when they would have been doing analysis on the way where he's putting penalties, but there's no way to get a run on what he's doing because he seems to just pick a spot and smash it. Like, and it's not like
there's no pattern.
Yeah,
there's no.
It doesn't. It's just he's just gonna smash it. He doesn't. He really just passes it.
With the state of VAR giving at least 2 penalties every half an hour in games, there's going to be so many goalkeepers studying penalty takers, and how they take penalties. Yeah. It's going to be one of the main, research they do during the week. So the more variety of finishes or places that you can put your penalty, the better. As you say, no pattern. But just going back to the penalty incident, Gav, I thought Mane was clever. This is, the debate about whether you're clever or whether you've been fouled. I thought this is where you're absolutely clever more than the actual foul. And
body position body position was. But the difference with this one, Grizz, is that you will find fellas leaning themselves into players and throwing a leg out and being called clever. That's not clever. Yeah. That's cheating. What Mane does is the way Mane, he never approaches Walker, he never puts a leg out towards Walker. What he does is he runs in a certain line. He runs on a certain line and says, "You come on." And he is, there's no doubt about it. Like that, we can't sit here every week and go, well, Harry Kane is this and Harry Kane is that. I'm not comparing Harry Kane's penalty last week to Mane's, but we can't sit here and go, our players are holier than thou, because they're not. They know what they're doing. But the thing about Mane is he doesn't go looking for Walker. He puts himself in a position where Walker is enticed to go and look for him. And that's what happens. Walker, if you watch it, Walker takes that extra half step and leans the knee out. Whereas if he just stays there, he goes by him. Does he get to the ball? Don't know. There's a defender.
It's very reminiscent of last season against Spurs. Serge Aurier milled Mane as well, didn't he? And it's another case of an absolute tit of a player that is so rash in the box. And Mane isn't
play for that.
Mane knows
exactly. It's intelligence. It's just pure intelligence. It's
just a quick one, guys. Just a quick one. Interesting question from It's a Fazal. If Milner plays, who now takes the penalties? I think it's unanimous. It's Salah now.
Yeah, didn't they? Salah took
what do we think
when Milner was on, didn't he?
Yeah, Salah's going to be taking them.
Yeah.
I think he's on a run.
There's no need
until he misses. What's the problem?
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, don't get me wrong. When he misses one and Milner stand on the pitch, people will be going uproar going, Milner should be on penalties. That's just the way it goes.
That's what people do, isn't it?
Yeah.
So Jimmy wants to know, did Grizz get that top on Wish or DHG?
I don't know what that means, to be honest with you. Like, I bought it from Nike online store. Like, what the fuck?
Could be a lightning. Could be the lightning in the room, Grizz. It looks a bit.
Does it?
The next time you buy one, will you leave the tag on it? And you can.
Man, the shit I've got to do to prove myself. Do you know what I mean? It's like proper question everything I fucking do. No one believes anything.
When you try yourself out there as a top manager,
you're guilty until proven innocent.
Yeah. And we wouldn't have it any other way, to be perfectly honest with you, because it's great enjoyment for the rest of us.
Awful behaviour.
Lads, I want to move on to two instances before we get to the second half, and of course it's the Manchester City equaliser from Jesus. And I have to say, I think it's a really, really good goal. I think he gets a bit lucky with the touch, but he's onto it like a light and finishes it past Alisson before he can even react. Seany, it's just a good goal, I think. It's just one of those, you go, it's a good goal.
It's brilliant. It's akin to the goal you'd see at that level of game, just the highest level. Yeah. Like, I don't know whether he meant it or not, but I tell you, if he didn't mean it, it's an even better goal, because his reaction to spin in and turn and finish is unbelievable. If he has in his head that he's turning inside, then it's not that impressive that he reacts as quick as he does. But if it's a mistake, if it's an accident and the ball pops in, yeah, look, you can point fingers and say Trent could do better, but you need to realise at this level in games, nearly every goal comes from an individual or an unforced error, because that's what these teams wait on. That's what they prey on. You see, as soon as Seany vacates his position once in the 90 minutes, they just have the wherewithal to pick out De Bruyne, and then bang, bang, it's in the back of the net. This is the level we're paying at. Like, if we found out Anton today, everyone's going on about Spurs, Leicester, Chelsea. They're still all the pretenders. These are the top two boys. You heard Neville wax lyrical about her all day, saying, Jesus, like, he was creaming in his jocks just about how high the level of attacking football was from both sides. It was brilliant. And I rate Jesus. I think he gets a raw deal from the rest around. It's striker is a very, very hard position to be in and out of team, because you're just expected to be on it as soon as you get thrown in, when it takes time.
And in fairness, he's the type that comes in, Seany, isn't he? And tends to get goals when he comes in. He doesn't need a run, but then he's out again when.
It's brilliantly taken. It's just spatial awareness from De Bruyne to know what's around him, and he plays the pass. And I'm not sure whose runner it is, takes Gomez kind of out of the game. It was brilliant from Man City. It's the type of goal that you'd associate with Pep's team. It's really good. Not much Alisson can do. Just one of them. You put your hands up and say that's a really good goal. Similar to Calvert-Lewin's in Goodison. You just put your hands up and say sometimes that's just a good goal. You're going to concede them.
Sorry, Grizz, you wanted to cut in there?
Can I? I was just going to say, can I just say it was one of the probably only three or four times in the whole 90 minutes where I think we didn't play to Klopp's instruction in terms of how we press and defend. And that can happen. You know, it's very difficult to play 90 minutes against. We're not playing Rochdale here. We're playing Man City here, guys. It's very difficult to play the perfect game for 90 minutes, the perfect defensive, the perfect cutting off lanes. I think Mane, and I think Seany touched on it previously, in terms of we're so used to playing 4-3-3. Mane
leaves, Walker.
He goes infield and chases, and that's one of the few times where he forgot his role in this 4-4-2 as it was when we were defending, and that automatically gave an overlap for Robbo to deal with, where Gini drifts inside and makes that huge error of leaving KDB open. So you had Hendo marking the other side, and he couldn't make up that gap, the distance between him and Gini. KDB, world-class player. Come on, he has a second on the ball, and he picks out pass. I'm with you guys, or I don't know if you guys all agree. I think Jesus meant that. I thought it was a brilliant turn. I think he did.
I think he did as well.
Yeah, I think he did. We football men, Keith.
Yeah.
He meant it, and this may sound really, really harsh, but I thought Matip could have been more aggressive with a slide tackle there. I know he would have risked a penalty. I know maybe I'm being a bit harsh, but overall, it's one of those moments of brilliant sprung defender. Yeah, you've got to give it.
It happens in a split second, like it.
Yeah,
and we nearly concede this again right after from the same type of thing. De Bruyne gets free on the edge of the box just because like Grizz said,
Mane flicked it that one though.
These lads are drilled into playing this 4-3-3, and you could see from early on that Kyle Walker receiving the ball was the trigger for the press, and it was the job of the front two to kind of press the back four out of the game the whole time, and that's Mane just neglected his duty.
Yeah, that's what it was.
He's been doing it the whole time. And that's all it takes. That's all it takes at this level. If you remember years and years ago, Pep and Mourinho in El Clasico in Spain, remember those the Barca and Real teams where they met a couple of times in Champions League semi-finals. And it was like a game of chess for 90 minutes. And you just knew as soon as someone switched off, you were punished. And that's what happened tonight. Tonight was a game of football. Like it was a game of chess. It was a war of attrition. I heard a couple of them saying a few times. And we switched off once and you get punished. That's what Man City do. And they look, you've got to give them credit. It was an excellent goal.
It was.
You know, it's. I think it was a really good goal. I'm not 100% sure if he means it, but if he means it, it's brilliant. If he doesn't mean it, it's unfortunate. And you can't. I wouldn't be throwing too many daggers, I suppose, at Trent or Matip, because it happens in a split second. And Trent is like, where the fuck is that ball gone? Matip is looking, thinking he's going, towards Trent, and all of a sudden he's in on goal. It's a second and a half between him touching off Jesus and it being in the net. It's that quick. And look, you just have to hold your hands up at times and say, that's a goal. It's a good goal.
Top class and world class attackers make world class, top class defenders look stupid on the regular. Yeah. That's just how it happens. You know what I mean? If you're a world-class defender and you win 90% of your challenges in a day and you get done up once, people turn around and say you have a bad game. Striker only has to make it happen once. That's the difference. You know what I mean?
100%.
That's what happens.
100%. Yeah. Of course, City are given the chance to go 2-1 up, Keith, from a penalty. De Bruyne across, hits Gomez, goes out for a corner. Referee gives a corner. A couple of the City players are pointing towards their arm and stuff like that, and it's checked on VAR. He checks the screen and it's given. What's your take on it? Because I'm not. I've said this before. Listen, we've seen it at Anfield against Leeds. Salah smashes one at a defender who's coming out. It hits him, and the penalty is given. They're just going to be given, rightly or wrongly. They're going to be given. Is that what you thought? Look, they're just giving these. That's it. Nothing we can do.
If it hits the hand now, they're going to give it. And look, the issue I have with it, in a sense, is they mentioned this on Sky Sports as well. When the ref goes over and looks at this, he's only looking at this in slow motion. He's not looking at it in real time. Mm-hmm. So Gomez, there's literally nothing Gomez can't move his arm.
Well, so he actually tries to move his arm, but out of the way. It's not even in the way. He tries to move it out.
You know, it's not even
it's
like
a penalty, lads. It's a
penalty. It is a penalty. 100% it's a penalty. But that's the rules now, and you can't argue about that. You just can't. You can't make an argument about that.
The rule is
stupid, and the fact that the referees will go over and look at this, he was always given a penalty. There was never
Take note, Gavin Doyle. The rule is stupid.
Yeah, but one issue I have with it, and maybe I'm absolutely all over the shop with this, was there an offside checked in that? Because that cross to me looked like Jesus was in an offside position when that cross was put in. Now, it could have only been a gee here, but as we know, the rules now, they'll get the lines out. Now, when Liverpool, we know what happened with Van Dijk, they're looking for offsides. It didn't seem to be even mentioned about a possible
Yeah, but the ball never reaches Jesus.
Doesn't matter, it was bleeding, it doesn't reach him because it goes out.
Yeah, but
I mean, in the Van Dijk one, they're going back to look for an offside. They're looking for offsides. Now, I'm not saying it makes an overly a difference. In my opinion, it's a penalty because it hit his hand. There's another one later on that I think should be a penalty as well. The Cancelo one. Because while they can say Cancelo's hands, what's he supposed to do with them? Well, he's not supposed to do that with them. That's what I say about Cancelo's ones. Because if you do that with it, you can't block your face. But Johnny, you can't. That's what I'm saying. You can't do it now. You can't use your hands.
Yeah, but it's the silhouette, though, isn't it? So if you're like that, your arms are within the silhouette. So, look, if a ball hits you there in the hand, it's not a handball.
But if your hands are like, what's your arms like this for? You know what I mean? That's not natural. That's not a natural. I
think. Look, if I'm being honest, the rule was just applied correctly. I think the issue was with the rule. The rule is stupid. Like,
yeah,
what can Gomez do there?
Nothing.
That's
because
the rule, and the rule was like it's just there's no point giving out about this because to be fair, I've been lashing refs for the misuse of VAR and whatever, but this is one thing they've actually been pretty consistent on. Like, these handballs are being given every week, so when it happened, I was kind of like, Yeah, whatever. When you see the one like last week where on Fabianski, the foul, I was saying this is just fucking stupid. This is completely over policing of the game, but this is just the rule being implemented correct. This is the rule. The rule's a bit stupid. It doesn't make sense. What's natural and unnatural in football? Like the one against Eric Dyer, you can't jump with your arms down by your side. It just doesn't happen. Anyone who's played football just knows that you can't jump with your arms down by your side.
But the silhouette thing is a joke. It's a joke because what silhouette are we looking at? Are we looking at a silhouette as a player jumps for a header? Are we looking at a silhouette of a player standing still, running backwards, running forwards, sliding? What is the silhouette? Is there a big book of silhouettes? And you have to go through the book and pick which silhouette.
And there's no context.
There's not. This is what I'm saying. Like, now listen.
Position of the run and the shape
when I seen it, I said he's given the penalty straight away. He said he's given that, and it was only when when they seen the City players pointing towards the hand and they showed the replay, I went, that's been given 100% because I've seen it so many times this season. The silhouette thing is a fucking cop out, and it's another continuation of this VAR bullshit, right? This silhouette, like where now, don't get me wrong, it's definitely given. But Joe Gomez, as I think it was Neville said in commentary, his natural body position for running backwards towards his own goal and that ball being struck is exactly his body position, right? So it hits him. He tries to take the arm away. It hits him. There's no common sense anymore, and it's not even that. Well, it's being checked by a fella, and then it comes back to the ref. You go and check it. It's played in slow motion, and that ref, he's not. Listen, you can blame refs as much as you want, but he's not allowed to not give that.
I said this is going to become part of the game. I said it last week. I watched the Clasico, and Madrid strikers are trying to flick the ball.
Yeah, you said that too,
yeah. This is going to become part of the game. This is just going to be another caveat of the game. It's if they're consistent with this silhouette crap, then fair enough. I would have loved to know what Pawson said to Gomez, because it looked as if Henderson and Gomez went over to him, and whatever he said to them, they quickly just went, all right. I think he just said, this is the real.
Absolutely. He said exactly that. It was literally a case of, look, whatever the case may be, it's the rule now, and they said, "Oh, for fuck's sake!" And they
So what they're doing is now, the talk about common sense being involved is actually a lie, because it's not common sense. It's basically, I'm not even going to look at the context of this. I'm not going to look at it, and this is not just Joe Gomez.
He went and had a look around the monitor.
But Seany, he goes and he looks at the. It's pointless looking at the fucking monitor, Seany, because at the end of the day, well, what did he say to him? That's the rule.
Have a look for yourself and see if you think it was unnatural, obviously, is what he said.
Yeah, but then it came down to the rule and silhouettes, and we don't know what silhouette is applied.
The silhouette applied is your arms down by your side.
Yeah, but
you can clearly see that.
So what we're going to end up with now is defenders just running around with their hands down by their side.
I'll be devil's advocate here, right? If Gomez's arm's not there, the cross is going into the box. You stop the cross.
That. I completely and utterly understand that. What I'm saying is, again, the way rulings are made is we've heard about common sense, we've heard about silhouettes, and when you actually put it all together, you're going, nobody's making fucking sense of this. Nobody's making sense.
Yeah, they've been consistent on this stuff.
Oh no, they'd be consistent on it, but there's no common sense brought in, so we can't talk about common sense when no common sense is allowed.
Yeah, but it's not common sense isn't supposed to be applied. The rule is supposed to be applied. That's above the rule is.
But would you not agree that you would need some common sense in making a rule?
Yeah, but even if the ref is using common sense there, he's going to give the penalty because he stops the ball going into the box.
Yeah, no, I absolutely get that, and it's a penalty. I'm not arguing that it's not a penalty. What I'm arguing is that when you see incidents like this, you're going, lads, seriously, where are we getting to now? We are genuinely getting to players running around, right? Like, I don't know, sensible soccer, and they all have their hands down by their sides and they're running around like lemmings, and that's what you're going to have to do. Because that's the only silhouette they ordered online before the season started.
As I said to you last week ago, Gav, they'll adjust it accordingly. Relax.
But no,
they won't, Chris, but that's impossible to do. Lads, it's how...
And talk of adjustment accordingly is a lot of shite.
Running motion is this, yeah? Running motion is this. You're putting your hands up, but nobody runs with their hands down by their side. Sterling runs like that, like Mr. Burns. But nobody runs with their hands down by their side. It's a penalty. Like, and the Kilman one was the exact same in the earlier game with Wolves and Leicester.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, I even thought Kilman one was worse. I thought the Kilman one, I thought his hand moved out and hit the ball, whereas Gomez was tucking his in maybe. But if it hits the hand, and that's, I agree, it's a penalty, you know, and they've been, the first real controversial one of these was we Mane against United last season, wasn't it, when we scored a goal, but it nicked off his hand, and it was like, it hit his hand, so that's the rule. You can't argue with that, and that's fair enough if that's the rule. But they're changing and they're dropping the consistency. In my opinion, refs were told this season there was too many penalties being given, and use a bit of common sense. But they can't use common sense. They have to be, the rule is the rule. If it hits his hand, it's a penalty.
Lads, we've discussed this every week. We've discussed this literally every week in other games. And we said, if that's given against you, you're gonna go fucking Rasha. It happened today. Yeah. Like, it's just, it's one of them. It's one of them, basically.
It absolutely is one of them. It's just, I just can't get over how many incidents there is every single week, different sort of incidents, where no matter what incident you come up with, there's all sorts of grey areas. In a game that's worth so much money to a lot of people, and you know it's broadcast all over the world, and we can't get a system.
They're not thinking about that, Gav.
But they should be thinking about it, Sean. It's the product.
They're just thinking about the game. It's nothing got to do with the product. It's the game. Like, this is the game now. So
yeah, that is the game. Yeah. Well, we probably will have to accept that, and probably is the game, but it's just atrocious, and I'll keep saying it until they get rid of it. I'm just if they just
blue as my top.
If they just agree to get rid of it, I'll stop. Alex says just accept it. Nothing will ever change. The game is gash now. It's virgin on that. I'm being honest with you. Before we move on to the second half, I did tell you on Friday night there's been a couple of changes with regards to the day trippers. So basically what's happened is, over the last year, little over a year or so, I decided that I was going to put out a little bit more content on the LFC Daytrippers channel. I done so because I had the time to. Thought nothing of it really, just doing it to pass some time, day on day. But I have to be honest, over the last couple of months especially, the three people on screen with me have been unbelievable with support, ideas, help, everything, to be perfectly honest with you. I decided that I wanted to make this a full-time thing. I wanted to put everything I had into it, rather than it just being... It is a hobby, I suppose, but really go serious on this. And Andy, Phil, Steve-O, the lads that are involved with the LFC Daytrippers have not stood in my way. They've been brilliant with me with regards to what I've tried to do, where I've tried to bring this, the effort I've put in, and they've decided to hand the reins to me. With regards to the LFC Daytrippers, so they've seen what's gone on. They're really excited about it, and they've said, look, they don't have the time. That they have families. I have a family, jobs, everything else, and they said, look, if anyone wants to take this on or is going to take it on, it should be you. I'm very grateful for that. But with that, I suppose praise becomes responsibility as well. It's a case of everything's on my shoulders now, and that includes content, social media, guests, editing. Everything is on my shoulders now. Paying the bills is on my shoulders now. Phil and Andy don't have to worry about paying bills anymore. I do. But we just wanted to let you know, because we try to be upfront and as honest about this as I can. As I said, Seany, Keith, Grizz, over the last couple of weeks when I've thought about doing this and it kind of come through the pipeline, have been nothing but supportive, and others to do with the LFC Daytrippers and outside the Daytrippers as well, that I look for advice off, said, look, go for it. You know, you have our backing, and you'll do the absolute best you can. We want to make this as good as we can. Push it as far as we possibly can. It's hard in these times, you know, even doing a live gig or dropping around to each other to do a podcast, or flying Grizz to Dublin to do something, or going to Liverpool and meeting fellow Liverpool fans that can do podcasts with us. It's very, very difficult at this time. Why am I telling you all this? Just to let you know, to be perfectly honest with you. Going forward, nothing is going to change for the viewer. Absolutely nothing. We've committed to about 16 shows regular a month. That's usually, it's going to end up about 25, because we're doing pre and post shows around the games, and that we're committing to that as well. Now, it's not going to change the content for you. I'm not one for behind paywalls or paying subscriptions or anything like that. I'm not against it. We are looking down the route of sponsorship to fund this, because what we do doesn't just happen for free. There's a lot of cost involved. So far, we've covered it well. We are looking for sponsors to come on board and sponsor each show individually or as a whole package and stuff like that. So the viewer is under no obligation to say, listen, you must pay for something to order to get it. It's all going to be there. If you want to help us out, it's absolutely fine. If you want to stick a super chat on, that's absolutely fine. If you want to send us a few quid via PayPal, that's absolutely fine to help us in the cost of what we're doing. But as I said, going down the line and going further down the line, we want to be able to get sponsorship and to work as a company, a sponsored company that goes and puts out this content for people to watch freely. Okay, so if you want to help us out, that's absolutely fine, but you're under no obligation to. I want to make that perfectly clear. I'm not asking for people to go, I want your money. It's not like that at all. We're just being completely upfront with you. We're being completely transparent with you as to what goes on, how it goes on, and how the content is put out and what it entails. So that's the changes that have come about. I know the lads on screen with me and other lads involved in the Daytrippers are really looking forward to what we're going to try doing the next 6, 12, 18 months. And hopefully the people that watch and the people that, you know, share and interact and come on shows every now and then will continue to support us, because I think I speak for all of us, especially on this show, when we say that the one thing that pushes on the most is giving enjoyment to people by doing these every day or every second day, or, you know, whatever it is, once a week. People come on once a week, twice a week, whatever it might be. So we just wanted to let you know that's what it is. We're not going to make a massive thing out of it. Everyone knows where they stand and we're going to move on. Lads, the second half, I have to be honest with you, I said it, I think both teams settle about 75 that they're going. Liverpool will take it with the position they're in and legs tiring. City will take it because if they push too hard and they get caught, it could be turned out to be a massive turning point in the season. That's not this early. Seany, the second half, I thought it got sloppy. And I'm going to throw something to you, Seany. I thought Liverpool's impetus was lost a little bit when Roberto Firmino went off.
I thought it was just sloppy second half in general. I think legs went early and big time. We didn't impose our game really on them in the second half at all. I wouldn't put impetus being lost when Firmino went off, so I thought Firmino was poor again today. And I don't like to be too harsh. It's the toughest away game of the season. It really is. You've got to be on it. I thought Mane was poor also. But we just didn't get going. I don't think in the last 20, the Milner for Trent sub killed us. You could see their left side of the pitch was open. They're normally the areas where Trent would expose with the raking passes. We just couldn't do it. But one thing we did do was we were defensively solid throughout. And again, one who won't be mentioned on most shows, Alisson Becker, just the difference again. Absolutely sensational. Making hard things look ordinary, and just being there, the presence. He was brilliant. I thought the two best players on the pitch today were the left backs for either side. I really thought Cancelo was excellent. Thought he was brilliant going forward, brilliant defensively. And our player of the season so far for me, Andy Robertson, just 90 minutes, pure intensity, always at it. Even when Bernardo Silva comes on, Bernardo Silva's afraid to run at him, even with all his legs. So, look, game of two halves, the old cliche. I think after 55, 60 minutes, I would have bitten your hand off for the point. And in the end, I was delighted with the point. I think it's a really, really good result, given the context of the situation with Trent gone off and the injuries we've had. I think we did well. I thought it was a well-earned point.
Ramez Khalil says, good result given the context of our depleted squad. Any news on centre-backs in January, lads? Anyway, good luck, Gav, and the rest of us. Thanks for all the quality content. You're absolutely more than welcome. Grizz, good result given the context of what's going on in our squad. You know, people do, and I think City are missing a couple of players and a couple are only coming back and stuff like that. But for me, looking at that side today, City, you're probably going Aguero. You know, you're thinking Aguero, not many more than that. Whereas we are missing, we know what we're missing. when you're looking at that second half, is it kind of acceptable, Grizz, that the levels drop a little bit, the pace drops a little bit, the weather is awful, that does come into consideration, and it's just a case of, lads, big game last weekend, travelled to Italy during the week, got a good win, came back, worked on a new system, and if it means going to City and levels drop a little bit and we take a draw, fine, because we are talking about Liverpool, Grizz, drawing away at Man City, and we're thinking, did we drop our levels for 35, 40 minutes?
You've done one of your old ones where you answer your own question.
No, but that's what I'm saying. But you know what I mean? It is when you think about it, we've dropped levels and we're still walking away with a draw.
If we didn't, and this goes for both teams, I guess, but more for Liverpool, if we didn't, the intensity levels didn't drop, and the to and fro attacking, you'd have to do drug tests for everyone on that pitch if it didn't. I mean, that was high intensity stuff. Added on to everything that you've mentioned in terms of playing in Europe, we had the same set of midfielders. Seany and Hender were absolutely superb, I thought. The work rate and effort they put in, it had to drop. We at 55, 60 minutes, both teams were too scared to. No, Man City were too scared to lose that game, so didn't attack like they normally attack with Kyle Walker. Did we even see Kyle Walker go in the attacking third in that last 20-30? He's normally playing as a right winger. I thought Cancelo had a good game.
He went up a couple of times and Layden mishit the ball, and didn't he get? He lumped someone out. He went through the back of someone at one stage.
Yeah. Oh, he's a brain dead. He's a brain dead player. But I thought we didn't stop playing. I just thought our forwards weren't playing well enough to capitalize. You guys have mentioned sort of Mane and Bobby having an off day. I thought Jota and Salah not only had an off day.
Any of them had a good game.
Yeah, I personally think they just weren't sharp enough, guys. I personally thought we didn't vary it enough. I thought Salah should have been trying on the right wing more and Jota through the middle. That's one criticism you could possibly have, that we didn't rotate and see if we can change it up a bit. Still play the same formation, but just personnel-wise, that's possibly something we could have looked at. We started losing the second ball in the second half.
Yeah, big time. That was so frustrating. We were second at everything.
We did, but Seany, we did start losing that, but we still managed to snuff them out. And that goes to show sort of what mental state we had City in. So the old City that we're talking about sees that and capitalizes, right, with overloads, because that's when you start losing second balls, that's where teams pick up the ball and start overloading. They weren't mentally ready to do that against us, because the threat, even though they were crap today, our front four, the threat was always there, and that played in their mind big time.
I never saw City being as... Sorry, Sean, you'll just say this one quickly. Yeah. I never saw City playing with as much fear as they did sort of against us today. The substitution that Guardiola makes, he brings on Bernardo Silva. And all Bernardo Silva does in the whole game is he stands out on the wing to cut off a passing lane. That's it. That was all he done. He didn't bring him on as an attacking threat. It was just to cut off a passing lane.
You could see... I know I hate him. I hate him all throughout his playing career. And I know he winds Liverpool fans up to bits. But one thing I will say is that Gary Neville is a brilliant analyst and he's a brilliant commentator, and his ability to pick up things live from the gantry. And he does see in the last, I think it's 65, 70 minutes, Gary Neville says City should be kind of grabbing this game by the scruff here, but they still have 7 men behind the ball even when they're in possession. Yeah. So it was more of a chance. Look, losing that today would have been devastating for them. Like, I think staying in that game there today was worth more than them winning that, really, than taking a chance and possibly getting beat. If they'd have got beaten there, the Wolves would have been out for Pep. But they kind of live to die another day, sort of. You know what I mean? I think the impetus was with them. When you're in a title race, you should be looking to win the big clashes at home. And we've not won. I think the last time we won there was Klopp's first visit. Yeah. Because I was at the game when Mane got sent off and he got destroyed. And then 18-19 is the classic. And then last year was last year. So that's a ground that hasn't been too kind to us today. So it's definitely a point gain for us. And it was up to them to make a statement today, and they didn't. And regardless of how bad we were, they didn't make the statement that they had to make. So if this is tennis, you'd say like advantage Liverpool.
Jesus' comments afterwards were quite telling, weren't they? Like when they asked him, because he'd said during the week that it's must win, they have to win. Anything but a win isn't good enough. And they asked him after the game, and he was quite like, well, they're a great team, you know. And there was no fluffing with him. He's sort of saying these are a great team, and we.
Keith, how you look at it is it's all about how the manager sends that message across the team. The psyche of the manager always spreads amongst the players as well. And you look at Klopp's reaction after the game, it tells you everything. And you listen to Pep and his players, and it tells you everything. You know, they were just so afraid of this gap stretching to 8 that they played in an absolutely reserved manner. And that's the fear factor that we possess now. It's a very good feeling to have. It's a very good, you know, position to be in overall. You know, we're probably going to come on to that, but it's a brilliant position to be in my opinion.
Does that lead back to the argument? And I know, Kieran Thorne says, lads, I think you're being slightly harsh attacking-wise. Tactics were to be more rigid rather than fluid like they do in a tree. Played orthodox wingers. I agree with you. I think we did put players wide to try pin their right and left back. And I did think before the game, the full-backs were going to be crucial in nearly playing triangles with the likes of De Bruyne or Bernardo Silva and their full-back and a Sterling or a Mahrez or whoever might play, and getting the full-backs, not letting them so far out the pitch reduces the chances of them triangles, and that's where City want to get in around you. But Grizz,
can I just respond? Jono says the Seany always stating how bad we were. I don't think I said once that we were bad. I thought going forward there was quite a few poor performances, but let me tell you something, mate. You don't have a bad performance at the Etihad and take a point. It just doesn't happen. No sides goes there and has a bad game and doesn't get a point. You've got to do something right to take a point away to City. No matter how bad they have been.
Even the manner of the point, Shawnee, even the manner of the point, to control them, to limit them to one Jesus header and one Alisson save. I don't know if it was offside. Was it onside? It was onside.
No, he was onside. He was
onside. Now, to control a Man City team like that at home, you don't have a bad game. I'm saying anyway, I'll say it with my chest. I thought the front players weren't sharp enough to capitalize on the situations we created.
It's quite like, lads, we're gonna get onto it. One thing none of us have said yet, like, look at Solskjaer's reaction yesterday. Look at Pep, Klopp today in unison.
Oh, yeah.
Like, they're bollocks. They're tired. Like, this is a season like no other. That it's December and September, November, October, December. Like, it's the bollocks. The lads are that you could see today at the final whistle. That tired. Genie was tired. Like, it's mental. Like what's expected of these players, and you've seen the quality of the game for 60 minutes was unbelievable. It was never going to stay at that with the conditions and what they've been through. It's just. It's breaking point now, and you're seeing it with the players going down with these muscle injuries.
Yeah, every substitution they go to the bench, not just Liverpool, like any game, and you're seeing fellas with ice packs getting strapped on. Them. They're all bollocks. Everyone is just
banged up. Everyone
depleted.
Yeah.
Patrick McDonald says, now we're talking great results about City away. Patrick just wants us to talk for an hour plus about how good the point away to City was and nothing else by the looks of it.
Great point.
Fair enough. Great point. Well made. Just something that you touched on there before we got on to the overall game, and Shawnee touched on about managers and subs and stuff like that. It's looking at that today, it's only kind of dawned on me now listening to you three talk about it. When you see Liverpool their legs are going a little bit, they are tired at the end of the game because these players are pushed into that kind of red zone right on cue for their international break or right on cue for we don't have a game midweek. They're pushed to the absolute limit. It's done to, I'd say it's done to millimeters and milliseconds as to how much they're going to be on the pitch and what they have to put in that time. But it keeps bringing me back to City's outlook, City's want to go and beat us, City's need to go and beat us. City, I put it this way, any other team lose their legs like Liverpool today and City just go for them. They go for them. And I'm starting to wonder about City's mentality and all this, even with a Liverpool that were labouring for the last 25 is probably the word I put in it. They still didn't go for their throat. They still have this fear. It's like they're walking a tightrope and they're waiting for just one big blip. And that's, a defeat to Liverpool or another home defeat to a top 6 side. And they could just fall off the edge of that cliff. Now it could be wrong and it could go drastically wrong from here for us. But that's just that's the impression I get off City. They're walking an absolute mental tightrope, I think, with regards to this season.
They were terrified that we'd catch them on the break, even though our forwards weren't at it. They were just terrified that we'd have pinged them at any stage in that game, and we just never looked like doing it, in fairness.
Come on,
we need to look at the bigger picture as well, like, because we often do it in this channel. We look at games in blocks. Like, City have a tough run when they come back as well. So had they dropped points today and then if they go and play Spurs away, like, it's a massive mountain for them to climb. So they need to I think their outlook, at Pep's outlook, is this: look, we'll stay in this for as long as we can until it all seems to level out, because the league is a bottleneck. It's it's mental. There was 4 teams on top this week at some stage. So it just got like, it's going to be mad. It's going to be mad. City were scared, they were timid, but at the end of the day, that's sort of an experience that they have to say, look, let's just stay in here. Like, we live to die another day, sort of. You know what I mean? We can fight. We can get out of here unscathed. If we get beaten, the noise will be out, and then we have to go and play Tottenham, who are in form. So, in the context of the game, I think they will be happy with a point at home to us.
Before we get to man of the matches and stuff like that, Grizz, I think we're all quite happy overall. I think I really do think, the 4 of us, after discussing it immediately after the game and even talking through it now for the last hour or so, I think we're quite happy with that 1-1 draw. One thing that did come up, though, and it's come up over the weekend, is, Solskjaer, Pep, Klopp, and I'm sure a few more feel the same about this, and it's the whole thing about 5 subs. It's happening in European football. I think it's happening around Europe, most of Europe, in league football as well. What's your take on this, Grizz? Because what I see is managers looking out for their players, and as we've said, it's a condensed season and stuff, and then you hear people say, no, it's just an advantage for big sides. What's your take on this, Chris?
My take's the same as all the top managers. Obviously, me being an ex-top manager as well, of course I'm going to agree with top managers. But look, Pep came out and said, and I think Pep summed it up pretty well when he said, this country just, the people running the football in this country just think they're better than everyone else amongst everywhere in Europe. I mean, everyone's doing it. Yeah, and that's the simplicity of it. Every coach is saying it. Every club, every coach that hasn't said it knows it, but hasn't said it. It's a ludicrous situation. The work and the intensity that these players are getting through. It's what you're going to get is injuries like today, for example. Just Trent. It wasn't an impact injury. It's just pure tiredness, wear and tear. It's just the sheer workload on these players. It's not right. It's not fair. The 5 sub rule was brought in for a specific reason, and it was brought in, obviously with much thought, and how it's not being carried on.
The bigger teams, really.
And how it's not carried on in the Premier League is exactly what Pep said. Is what can you say? And he said it. He goes, they just think they're better than everyone else. Their mind, their brain works totally different from every single one, every other person or every other league that's sort of instilled it in their leagues. It's mad. It's absolutely mad. What you're going to get is, they say it's to help the bigger teams, right? But what you're going to find is the teams with the lesser squad are going to have players getting injured and even a worse situation suffer more. It makes absolute zero sense.
Slackline in Egypt says 5 subs cancelled, no crowds back in stadium. They're just English things.
It's the God complex that the FA and Premier League seem to have. They wanted to do their own thing with VAR, and it's massively blown up in their face.
Transfer window blew up in their face.
Exactly,
like dates and all of that.
There's so much previous, and when you see like Solskjaer is a big win there for him yesterday, and obviously I don't like him, but I found myself going, Jesus Christ, a fair play to you, because he even made a point that like Liverpool and City played on Tuesday and they play tomorrow because Sky wanted them on tomorrow. United played on Wednesday and then played at 12 Saturday, and then Klopp made the point today that our players are going to be flying from all over the globe, and then we're the 12:30 on Saturday against Leicester. Like, it's a fucking joke. It's an absolute joke. It does not make sense, especially in a season where these schedules are already mental.
Yeah.
To go and just, they're not looking after the breadwinners. And I think when this has all got to do with this big picture thing, and the top six want more control. They want more control because they should have more control. It's all about them.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for them, look, they're going on about don't protect your top six clubs. See who's going to watch a fucking Premier League full of Crystal Palaces and Newcastles? Nobody.
Yeah.
See who's going to sponsor it? Nobody. They need to realise where the bread is made. And it's about time that the managers come out in unison. It was Pep Guardiola who mentioned Trent's injury tonight. It was him who said it. Well, there's England. England are going to be without a top player now because Trent is injured because of injury. Luke Shaw was the same as well. Look, we haven't had the best of luck with impact injuries, but these are all avoidable. It's ridiculous. It's so bad that Klopp said, I don't even want the game on a different day. He's asking for 2 hours in the difference. So that'll tell you the difference that it would make.
Yeah.
This will tell you how ridiculous it is and how minute the lines are. The players are being, like you said, Gabba, red zone completely.
Yeah.
And if Klopp is wishing, if Klopp is wishing for just another 2 hours,
yeah, that's how much of a tightrope it's on. Yeah,
that would show you the levels that they're at. Like these lads are being walked to the bone. And it's nothing got to do with being multi-millionaires or making as much money. No matter how much money you earn, you're a fucking human at the end of the day.
Your body doesn't react to the money you have, does it?
No.
Well, A. Loringer says 47% increase in muscle injuries this season. Barry Devaney says it's the same for Champions League games. All European teams get extra days before games, but in not England, 12:30 fixtures. All for the money. Lads, I think that's about it. We want to get man of the matches before we go, though. So, Grizz, man of the match, hit me.
Henderson for me again.
Okay. Any particular reason?
Just thought he was magnificent again from energy, from driving them on, new formation, organizing the players, everything that you associate with Hendo. He done it to his maximum today. All the cliches for him: pointy, shouter, organizer. He done it.
Okay. Kev O'Sullivan agrees. He says himself or Henderson or Robbo. Keith, man of the match.
I'll go for Alisson. Seany touched on it earlier. You know, he's everything about him just exudes, you know, calmness. And when he went down with that suspected injury, did you see that when they start saying, Tyler was saying about, the shoulder could be twinged here? My balls were in my throat at that stage because the thought of losing him again is just, you know, it's the one you don't mind. I think you can play the young centre backs once you have Alisson behind them, and he was just exceptional today. I thought some of his kicking maybe was a little bit off, but again the conditions probably weren't. I was off right coaching the team earlier in training. Me, Paddy Lawson, and Gabriel.
Go on, tell us more.
Football men, right? It wasn't even raining, but the grass was wet, and we couldn't kick the ball 20 yards. It was that heavy and it was that bleeding stodgy. So these fellas having to kick it 60, 70 yards will allow them the odd sloppy one for that. So yeah, Alisson for me.
Good stuff. Few people saying here Leicester is actually 3 p.m. on the Saturday. Liverpool refused to play the early game.
Yeah, that was actually what Klopp said as well, that the last time after an international break we were forced to play everything at 12:30. So he said twice they've tried it. So that's what I... paraphrasing as usual. No
problem. But apparently, Liverpool refused to play the early game after the international break. So it's 3:00. Seany, man of the match for you?
Andy Robertson for me. Absolutely sensational. Like world class. Considering how bad he was at the back end last year, everyone was saying Robbo's still on the piss. I know people were actually starting to question Robbo might be on the gear. I think that was one we've seen thrown around. He's been absolutely unbelievable this season, and I think head and shoulders our player of the year so far, despite all of the brilliant performances from Salah and Jota. He was unbelievable today, relentless, absolutely excellent in possession and brilliant defensively. He was outstanding, and honestly, Robbo like this is a joy to watch. If he was Brazilian, the money we could fetch for him
It's crazy, isn't it? The type of player he is. The difference between the two fullbacks. You've got Trent is like a midfielder, obviously playing a fullback, pinging passes. Robbo is just up and down that line, but he's so intelligent with it as well. It's absolutely unreal.
Loads of green with Andy Robertson. I think the biggest thing and I think you're right, I think he probably is our player of the season so far, is step up in form and his influence over the team. I think since Virgil van Dijk's gone down has not gone unnoticed with me anyway. Go on, Sean.
And having someone like Simicast there is probably a kick in the fucking ball up the hole for Robertson as well, because Simicast has done well when he's played. Like Simicast looked very comfortable when he came on, and even early in pre-season. These lads go against each other and training every day. You know what I mean? So
Simicast will play a lot of games after. And
this is pushing. This is what pushing someone does. This is what having backup does. Robertson has a rocket up his hole, and he's playing with his head as well. It's not all just fucking ball dash hitting the boy line. It's playing with intelligence. It's being defensively solid. He was unbelievable today, a real leader. And a leader is exactly what we needed in the back since Van Dijk. He's been excellent.
So we have a vote for Henderson, we have a vote for Robertson. Who have you got, Keith?
Alisson.
I'm going to have to side with Seany, I'm being honest.
You're not going to shine with me. You're not going to side with me, obviously.
Listen, I'm not saying either of them players play badly at all. I just think Robertson was outstanding. I'm being honest with you. Like, you know, when you look at City's attacking threat and they control this fella at you and that fella at you, and it's a testament to him, A, how well he plays against these players, and B, they don't rotate and keep throwing different fellas at you. You just know it starts becoming a waste of time. That's how good he is. He's like a box-to-box midfielder, but he just starts at left back. That's exactly what he's
Bernardo
like.
was put on. Bernardo was put on just to stop Robertson.
Yeah.
Just cut that lane out.
So you, like you said, you bring on one of your most creative players just to stop the opposition's left back. Like it's, but listen, don't get me wrong. I thought Alisson was great. I thought Gomez was brilliant.
I changed my mind, Robbo.
Okay. But I thought Alisson was really good. I thought Gomez was really good. Matip on his first game back was really good.
Some sellout.
Trent done okay, but I have to be honest. I would just edge for Robertson. I really, really would. Grizz, anything else before we go?
No, that's fine. I feel like these players now. How much you're slave driving me now? I need to get off this. Come on.
Okay. Well, I know I told everyone about what's going on with the trippers and stuff. I'm going to have to explain it to you, I'm sure, when we get off this, because that's how you work. What the fuck was all that about, Gav? Send me a voice message. Keith, anything before we go?
No. I thought you well said earlier on, Gav, about the future of the trippers and all that. But before we do go, folks, there's a good few of you still watching. If you haven't done it, hit the like button, because we do, you know, like the likeys, and even Grizz was trying to sell them on his carnage the other night. It is important that we get them. It gets us out there, gets us into more people's faces and ears, and, you know, it helps us to grow. So if you can do that, that'd be great.
Good stuff. Seany, anything else before we go?
No, all good.
You're happy out?
Happy out, yeah. Position in the table, considering who we played, looks really good. So a lot to be optimistic for, and hopefully we can put together a run after the international break and get to watch THIAGO play football again. That's
how long is this international break? Is it 2 weeks today now?
Yeah, same thing.
Hopefully it's 9 months. Hopefully it's 9 months.
Well, international breaks are difficult, aren't they, when you're doing podcasts? You know, there's no matches going on that you could be bothered watching. So what we'll do is we'll have a little chat later on tonight and tomorrow morning. I know the forum is on tomorrow. The midweek fix is due, the Friday forecast. Obviously there's no stuff, so we'll try fill that next week or two with some stuff, maybe some stuff that's a little different. And
you know what, as well, Gav, I'm going to make a suggestion here. We had some crack in the early in the year with the forced lockdown. I know England is similar to Ireland now. He's back in lockdown, so wouldn't be a bad shout to maybe throw a little quiz together over the international break. Could be a bit of crack and get a few of the lads in the comments involved.
I'm ready to do my new version of the world's best players, and sort of I've got other ideas. Yeah, Goran Pandev needs to be transferred out of my team.
Yeah, Goran
we're up for
Pandev is getting his P45.
Yeah, he's got his P45. I've had some fresher ideas, and I'm ready to put them into action whenever you feel ready.
Flags of Macedonia are being flown at half-mast now when they hear about it.
But no, listen, if people are up for it, we can do a draft together. I'll make up some mad rules around the draft. Only fellas with red hair, stuff like that, I don't know, whatever I can think of. Quizzes we can absolutely sort out. I know one fella got on to us today and went, can you and Andy get on and have a big random chat and maybe give us some tips for the golf? We might try to sort that for during the week as well.
Next week, isn't it?
Yeah, so we might get on and have a bit of crack about golf and stuff like that, just to keep us going. Because listen,
the horizons.
Yeah, nobody cares about international football. You don't want us to come on and start filling your evenings with, bullshit stuff about internationals. You don't. So if you want, and we just have a bit of crack for the next 2 weeks, we absolutely can.
Shane Long is looking in the coal house for a shin guard. He knows he's going to be lining up with Messi now in a few weeks.
But Dan J says, there we go. Dan J says, there we go. Shane Long up top with Ronaldo again. It's one of the best lines I've ever heard on a podcast, and I mean anywhere where the fella said Ronaldo flicking balls on for Shane Long to chase after. It was one of the best things I've ever heard. But look, it's been another brilliant show. If anyone's confused about what we were talking about earlier as to how things are going forward, don't be. Nothing changes for you with regards to content, with regards to how many shows. You're probably going to get more than we promised. We promised something like 4 a week. You're probably going to get more than that. So, but you're under no obligation. We're not going to make anyone pay for this. We're obligated to pay.
I like that one. A team of left footers. Yeah.
Okay, we'll take a note of that. But
that's
World 11 left footers, we can do something like that. Listen, we'll have a chat tonight and tomorrow, and we'll come up with some. By the end of tomorrow evening, we'll have a plan for you for the rest of the week. How does that sound? But with regards to it, it doesn't change anything for you. We are openly looking for sponsors for this show and or someone to take the sponsorship of the whole thing. That's absolutely fine. If you want to help us out via Super Chats or you want to help us out via PayPal, it's lfcdaytrippers@gmail.com. You can PayPal us. Now, I'm not talking mad money. If you're here and you want to throw 1 or 2 quid in to a Super Chat, that's absolutely fine. But as I said, the goal for us would be to be self-sufficient via sponsorship, and we feel that the content we're doing is a brilliant opportunity for someone that's looking to sponsor something like this. So, but with regards to you as a viewer, nothing changes with regards to the content and how you get it and the amount you get. Okay, just to make that absolutely clear in case someone tears me head off and says, "Oh, you're fucking charging for this," and we're not. We absolutely not. There's no obligation to you. It's been a brilliant show. It's 1 hour and 22 minutes. Grizz is no doubt dying to use the toilet because that's what happens around this time. He's regular as clock.
I'm staying right to the end.
Yeah. Well, I did see attach the colostomy bag before we come on, so it seems to be working. Right, listen, lads. That's been the Fatback 4 podcast. It's been an absolute pleasure. We will draw up a plan for this international break to keep us having a bit of crack as it goes. Get thinking of left footers. Over and out.